We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order of the Maricopa Planning and Zoning Regular Commission meeting of June 6, 6 p.m. We'll have guest invocation by Council Member Rich Vitello, and Pledge of Allegiance by Bill. Member Robinson, right? Thank you. I apologize. Please stand.
Hello, Maricopa. Thank you for showing up tonight. Please join me in this prayer. Lord, thank you for this wonderful day in this great city that we live in. We have these committee people here today to help us out with all the needs of our great city. Please bless them and guide them in some great ideas and prayers to help them get through it. I personally want to pray and thank you all for what you guys do for our great city. We all love this city, and we take our time to come out and do this. In the name, Lord Jesus Christ, amen. Thank you.
Flag of the United States of America.
To the republic for which it stands, one nation.
Thank you, Mr. Councilmember and Bill. And we do have Rachel LaFaw on conference call. Roll call, please.
Roll call.
Evening.
Commissioner LaFaw.
Here.
Commissioner Yoakum.
Here.
Commissioner Sharp.
Here.
Chair Huggins.
Here.
Commissioner Irving. Commissioner Frank.
Here.
Commissioner Robertson. Thank you. Am I supposed to say?
Thank you. We got a quorum. All right, moving on. 4.0 minutes. You guys have all got them. If there's a motion
So moved.
and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right, 5.1. City of Maricopa staff will present a proposal for the creation of the first version of the city's multifamily residential design guidelines and project timeline discussion only.
Good evening, Chair Huggins, Commissioners. I'm here tonight to present the multifamily residential design guidelines. I'm going to quickly go through this. We are starting the process of creating, much like we did the single-family residential guidelines a couple months back, we're doing the multifamily residential design guidelines. This is in response to the influx of multifamily product that we've been receiving in the city lately. We want to make sure we have a consistent, clear design guidelines that can be applied, can be given to developers, and can be used by staff to review these applications consistently and make sure we're getting really high quality, consistent design in the city. These guidelines are provided so it can provide a framework so that multifamily developments can offer a variety of diverse and attractive building types, floor plans, architectural styles with attractive building architecture, site design, and functionality. So the staff is going to concentrate for the first draft on the following three areas. Site design, which includes neighborhood character, building placement, orientation, parking and garage placement, landscaping and shading, architectural design, so primary entries, massing and scale, articulation, and using a variety of materials. And then the third element will be sustainable and healthy design. So this will include low impact development, which is basically stormwater management, green building options, which will work in conjunction with our existing sustainable incentive program, daylight views and natural cooling, and solar. The timeline for this is to basically starting in a couple weeks. We're going to go over the outline as a staff. We'll have a variety of team meetings. These are kind of up in the air. It might actually be more like 3 team meetings where we're going to draft, work as a team, draft our first guidelines, and then we'll come back to P&Z, roughly, maybe earlier, but roughly at this point in October, where we will take any sort of feedback from P&Z, Planning and Zoning, before we present it to City Council for final incorporation. So that's a quick presentation of the guidelines. You guys have any questions at this time?
Questions? I just had one odd one, and the picture kind of reminded me. Is multifamily development under the same type of guidelines for stormwater runoff as single-family home communities would be?
I'm sorry, repeat the last sentence. Said that kind of fast.
Single-family home communities have a guidelines of retention basin for stormwater runoff. Do multifamilies have the same type of?
Most cities, yes, do have some sort of guidelines in regards to stormwater and design of bioretention and things of that nature. So that's what we're going to aim to capture as well with our guidelines. So we are going to encourage developers to use those types of.
If I'm not mistaken, I think the state has a 72-hour time frame where the water has to dispense within 72 hours after end of the rainfall. That's the only reason I was asking.
Right, and currently our engineering department is in control of that, and when it comes to reviewing to make sure that stormwater is handled on site per our requirements, which are aligned with the state. However, when it comes to design ahead of time, we want the developers to be creative, and there are some really good ways to handle stormwater on site that we'd like to see earlier in the design stage rather than when it actually gets submitted for review.
Sure. The only reason I was asking because that one picture that shows with the flood, where the area flooded, and it looks like that's a basin catch.
Correct.
Okay. Commissioner Yocum.
Just a comment. I think we have got to pay particular attention to the articulation piece of the architectural design. We've had presentations here where we have made comments that the project looked as though it was just a bunch of warehousing or factories, and I think we want to make sure that we tell our developers that we do not want to see that kind of presentation. And in your guidelines, I would suggest that we talk about the different colors, the accents, and so forth.
Noted. I think that picture actually up there does a pretty good job of showing both articulation and variation of color.
That's a good example of what we're looking for.
Correct. Thank you.
Yeah, but I still think that we need to be a little bit vague so that we're not rewriting them every time the fade goes in and out. Like right now, the color is dark, but 10 years ago it was lighter.
Right. I think it's just the variation of color is more what we're looking for.
Yeah,
Splashes of color and not a monotone color for the whole building.
Well, that's the problem when you have dark. If you have dark blue, dark gray, dark black, it's dark.
Yeah,
You
it all
gotta
mixes
get
together.
some color in there.
Okay, any other questions? Miss Rachel, did you have any questions?
No, I did not, Jefferson.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
And I do need to apologize because I skipped over the call to the public. So we're going to backtrack up one and we're going to go to the call of the public. And if anybody has anything that they would like to address to the commission, please step forward. Remember, we cannot necessarily discuss, but we can help you out. Good, seeing none, we'll move on. Okay, 5.2, DPR 21-01, Fuse 520, request by Z Modular for approval of their site, landscape, photometric, and elevation plans for proposed 348-unit multi-story, multifamily development generally located on the southeast corner of State Route 238 and Loma Road. Discussion and action.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, thank you. Just as a refresher, DRP 2101 for Fuse 520 is coming back to the Commission for the review of the elevations. Staff at this time does not have anything else to present. Nothing has changed on our end from the first time that you guys saw this product. So now I'll turn it over to the developer to present you the updated elevations.
Okay. Okay. Members of the commission, thank you very much. Adam Baugh, 2525 East Arizona Biltmore Circle. I know you have a busy agenda, so I'll do my best to be brief, but personally want to come in and apologize. I think when we presented this case a couple months ago, we weren't well prepared. And I think we've taken your feedback to heart, and we'll be able to show you some of the improvements that we've made and the better quality design that we've hoped to achieve in the 2-month interim period. This is what we started with last month, and I think, Commissioner Yoakum, this probably reflects a lot of your comments previously.
Yes.
And I think, good or bad, it's led to a good discussion in the city adopting some design guidelines, but in the interim, we think we've come up with some things that will work really well for you. So this is a second version of an exhibit you saw last month, again, kind of just boxy and plain. But without the context of kind of what's happening around it, it's really hard to get a feel for this community. So last 2 months ago, you shared that you thought the elevations were kind of flat and didn't really show what it looked like on the ground. So we have worked on some exhibits that help illustrate that a little bit better. And you'll see some of those renderings with the articulations herein. I think our colors, unfortunately, were kind of industrial in tone as well. And so you'll see us go through some exhibits that show the vintage wood spruce, the dark nickel, the light fog, all these colors that give this more variety and better design. And lastly, I think we had a lot of design that's a little bit boxy and lacked visual interest. And so as you'll see me go through the presentation, I'll cover some of those things. In our elevations we shared with you last time, you really couldn't see the patios on those first floor units. It was always intended, but without you seeing the visual rendering, it's hard to get an idea for how it feels. There was a recommendation of adding some awnings, which we've been able to put in some strategic locations, and overall soften the appearance of the buildings. And so with that direction in mind, we went through and started adjusting some things, and I hope that you'll see we've come a long way. So this is a much better rendering of how this will fit into the area and the feeling for this community. What I like and appreciate about this plan is it's not a snapped line at the roof level. It's not a snapped line at the horizontal level. You see undulation, you see articulation, you see just colors, and you see materials break up it. So it provides a good balance of textures, colors, forms, and features without the monotony of hard snapped walls. You've seen a lot before, so I'll kind of cover it quickly. There's a north building and a south building, about 348 units total. We exceed the required parking. We also have 27 electric vehicle stations, which is something we're proud of because the new wave of development should be including these things, recognizing that more and more people are using EV cars. A quick colored version of it, but this is some things that we just didn't have ready for you last month or 2 months ago. So you can kind of see how this feels, not in a flat way, but in a real more of a simulated way with regard to like our open space area, for example, and our resort aspect. The pool floaty does not come with the leasing, but we think it's a great little thing to drop in there for the architect. You can kind of see how this feels. I'll toggle back and forth between this 2D version and then the kind of 3D rendering of that. And then the southern amenity is less of the pool recreation and more of the outdoor play, sports, rec, where kids can play, soccer or whatever in that field and a splash pad. And then more importantly, our office. So the office breaks up the design of the buildings by having something that looks a little bit more professional in nature. And to me, the ability to have that wood accent really sets this out and apart from what would the industrial feeling that you had recognized before. Just having that different type of texture certainly softens the building and gives it a little bit more of a modern feel for the site. When you see something like this, it's really hard to get an idea for it, but when you put it in a perspective like that, you get a better understanding of how it comes together. And then this is some of the views from the edges of the property at different points interior to the site. And I wanted to be brief and respectful of your time, but I think most important, the key thing for us was to be able to soften the colors, provide a variety of materials and tones and textures to accomplish a better quality design than you guys have seen or expected in the past. And I hope that this becomes a bit of an expectation for development going forward to be more responsive, better prepared. And at the end of the day, when I look at your design review criteria, it meets the criteria outlined in your zoning code section 18.155. So with that, I'll be respectful of your time and appreciate it, but happy to answer any questions that you might have.
All right, thank you very much. We're going to start out online. Miss Rachel, did you have any questions, comments?
Thank you. Just comment. I think you guys did a great job with your resubmission. It shows the detail that was requested, touched on those points, so I really do appreciate that. Excuse me. I know that there was the one concern that Chairperson Huggins is going to mention, but I'm sure about the traffic. But I think you did a great job with the colors, showing the different layers, the textures. It looks a lot more appealing for our city. So I appreciate the changes.
Thank you. We'll start on this side. Commissioner Yocum, anything?
I agree with what Rachel said. I think this is far more interesting than what we saw last time around. It's very pleasant to the eye. I think the colors, the material, the changes in texture add the variety that we were looking for, and I thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Sharp?
Thank you for the revised presentation. I just wanted to continue to echo the comments that you've heard so far, is that by adding things like the awning features, by breaking up some of the different facades, that went a long way into just making the product look a little bit more appealing, not so cookie cutter. And so I appreciate that. And then also just providing the renderings to give us a visual sense of what it is you're trying to accomplish with this particular product. We try our best not to be a rubber stamp. We really want to see and have a hand in the development and the design of our community. So I appreciate you guys taking another stab at it, taking another look at it, and I think it's a good product. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Frank?
No, thank you for the resubmittal. Did a great job doing that. I have no comments or questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Robertson? Awesome, great. I'm just going to kind of echo what everybody else has said because I kind of spearheaded some of it last time. Picked on you, and I do apologize. But as you can see, it worked out well for you. The modern colors are awesome. Like I said earlier, we just needed to see what it would look like. I do like the fact of the AC being protected on the roofs in the way of visual, because that's important as well, yet being visible enough to where it's got flow through it so it can protect your dollars, because I know that they're kind of expensive. And then overall, that boxy look is kind of gone, even though we all know that it's a box and upon a box and upon a box. So you did a great job.
Chairwoman Huggins, I'll just say, Maricopa is a unique spot. It's a growing city. You'll see many more of these projects coming in. When I heard the agenda item just before us, where you're implementing design guidelines, this is a good sign. That means your city is going to attract good development. And you can sort of set forth the expectation that this is what we want to see in our town. And so as much as it was a brief delay for us, we're grateful to accommodate that, because I think hopefully it sets a good tone for the next set of projects after this.
Well, I think that you're also setting the groundwork for other developers coming in. They've got to match you or beat you.
I hope so.
So with that being said, I appreciate that again. And with that being said, I'll take a motion.
I'll motion that we approve.
Second it.
All right, I do have a motion and a second. Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Congratulations. All right. 5.3 DRP 20-12 Innovation Villas. Matrix Equities is requesting review and approval of site plan, landscape, photometric, and elevation plans for a proposed 182-unit single-story multifamily development generally located on the southeast corner of State Route 238 and North Village Parkway. Discussion and action. Well, welcome back.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, thank you. This project is on the second step of the entitlement process. The zoning for this property was previously approved earlier this year through PAD 1903. The site is roughly 17 acres in size and currently sits vacant with a proposed use of multifamily and an existing zoning of PAD, like I previously mentioned. This is the site location just across the street from our previous project, the Fuse 520, located on the west end of the city, just south of State Route 238. This is the overall site layout. The development has 182 units with a mix of 1 and 2 bedroom units. The required parking for this development was 372 parking stalls, and the developer has provided 375. This is the landscape plan for the development. The landscape plan provided meets all of the city's requirements. Here I have a couple of the elevations for this development. Staff was pleased with the elevations provided as they show a good mix of colors, textures, and building massing. Staff believes that this product will blend in nicely and provide a good buffer between the higher density multifamily development to the west as compared to the lower density single family development to the east. These are some of the elevations for the on-site garages that the developer plans to provide. And this is the main entrance to the development. A traffic impact analysis was submitted, and it showed that all proposed infrastructure for this development would be adequate. This shows all access to the site. So main access is going to be from the center road, which is West Village Parkway, I believe, up to State Route 238. And they will also have secondary access off of Loma Road through a private drive that is being developed at the same time as all other infrastructure on this project. The criteria for approval that the commission must use to review this project is the following. Does the overall design of the project, or the commission should consider the overall design of the project. Is the project suitable environment for occupants, visitors, and the general community? The commission should keep in mind the color, materials, and landscaping for the development, as well as is this compatible with neighboring developments, and is this visually interesting built environment? As required by the zoning code, a sign was posted on the site. Notification letters went out to 600 feet to all property owners. And as of this time, staff has not received any public comments regarding this project. Staff recommends approval of DRP 20-12, subject to the conditions set in the staff report. At this time, I'll take any questions. We also have Ron Smith, the developer, here in case you guys have any questions for him.
Great, thank you. All right, we'll open it up. Commissioner Rachel, anything?
Just a clarification question. Will these projects be run or just concurrently, or is there a particular order, or are we not there yet? Because of the reason why I was asking is the concern of the flow of traffic.
These two projects, I'm guessing you're referring to Fuse 520, Rachel?
Yes.
Okay. These two projects are not tied to each other in any way. It just so happens that they're coming to the commission at the same time, roughly.
Okay, thank you.
Is that all, Ms. Rachel?
That is all. Thank you.
Start on this side this time.
Yes, so I did email a question earlier this afternoon about the right-of-way out front, and I apologize, that was kind of late in the day and may not and I didn't yet receive a response, but I'll just ask again here for the record.
Please, yeah.
So the right-of-way currently, well, as proposed along State Route 238 is 50-foot half-street, 100-foot total width. The area transportation plan from 2015 suggests that we need a 4-lane arterial there with a total right-of-way of 110 feet. So I want to make sure that we're not limiting ourselves in any way. I looked at other studies as well, so like Pinal County's
Thank you.
regional plan, I can't remember the name of it anyway. They call this a regionally significant road or some such thing, which has I think a 200-foot wide right-of-way and is a parkway kind of thing. And then, of course, there's the ADOT Rainbow Valley framework study that shows a freeway-type connection, you know, and I-11 and all that. So just kind of want to get your take on that and how allowing a 100-foot right-of-way works with those future plans. Thank you.
Right. The county has 200 for a parkway for 238. Right now we have 100, but we haven't asked yet for right-of-way on the north properties, which one of those is a state land that will probably be developed in the next 5 years. So when that comes in, we'll ask for more right-of-way to be able to increase the capacity of that road. And then we have Moonlight Ridge also next to this development on the north side that will also ask for more right-of-way. So the 100-foot right-of-way that we have right now is just for the south. As we can see it right now is half and half street because there's no way we can get on the north. But as we get more development, we will. However, the city is concerned, of course, about the intersection 238 and 347 because we have a restricted there because we have a gas station already and commercial area on the north. So this is the reason why the city is looking for another option to provide more roads that will lead directly to this area, because our concern is not only this development. If you add Phoenix Surf, then you add Moonlight Ridge, and you add Maricopa Meadows, so it's not just this development. So that's, I think Peter gave you a little sheet that shows you one of the options that the city is looking for to bypass John Ware Parkway and be able to bring and give another option to drivers that come from north and going to south, going to south of the city. This will alleviate John Ware Parkway and the intersection 238, but still we have room to make 238 a little bit bigger.
Okay, good answer. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Don't go nowhere, because I'm up now. So, I'm sorry, Commissioner Sharp, do you have anything? I'm going to go that way first.
I have a couple of questions in regard to just the overall traffic pattern. Could you go to the slide where it shows the two properties, the one we just approved and the one that's being proposed now? This one here. So this particular property, where's the primary access?
There are two
To
primary
this-
access, Loma Road and 238.
So Loma Road and 238. So if someone is trying to get access to what we're calling Lot 1, which is the DRP that we're discussing today, your primary access would be on this roundabout road, which is shared with the adjacent lot. Is that correct?
Yep.
Are there going to be any signals along 238 in order to control
We are
traffic?
starting at the signals for the whole area, not just for this particular intersection, because as I said, we are getting a lot of attention around this area. We are probably going to put one between Loma Road and 238, and we're going to add another one on the next intersection for Green Road. But that's still under design, and we're working with ADOT to see how are we going to handle the traffic light within these intersections?
Yeah, that's also my concern, because I know we had a discussion about these adjacent lots and the signal potentially at Loma Road, where you've got two high-density lots, Lot 1, Lot 2. Wouldn't it make more sense to have it where the roundabout road is? I'm not sure what the nomenclature for that road is, Village Parkway or whatever it's called. I'm just concerned with, AM and PM traffic flow. There's really only one way in and one way out of that property. There is a service access for emergency, but couldn't we open that up to be exit only? That way traffic can flow out onto Smith Inky as well? Or 238, excuse me.
There are a lot of, if you can see around the valley, there are a lot of apartment sites that have more than 500 units, and they only have 2 points of access, and they lead to the same arterial, and they have been proven not to have any problems at all.
Well, my concern is that this isn't just any arteria. This is 238, and you've got trucks doing 50 and 60 miles an hour flying down this road. I mean, it's essentially it is a highway, right? It's not just Honeycutt, right? I think if this were just a normal arterial road, I would agree with you. But again, this is a highway. And I'm just trying to figure out how we're going to manage traffic flow as people are trying to go southbound, blocking traffic, trying to go northbound, coming out into speeding traffic, and how to do that safely and efficiently without keeping people blocked on these lots. I'm just not convinced that the traffic is adequate. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but this is what we mean when we talk as a body about, if I look at this one particular lot in a vacuum, we could approve it. I don't think we have any problem with the aesthetics. I don't want to speak for the board. I don't think we have any problem with the design. I think we have a problem with traffic in this town. And that's what we've been trying to convey to staff over and over and over again, is that, and this is a keen example of what we mean. We've got two projects adjacent to each other that we're getting ready to approve, which account for 530 units on, higher density residential. This is going to be a traffic nightmare. And if you cannot see that, then I just think we're not speaking the same language. And we just got to really think this through about how we're going to manage traffic flow on all of these lots here.
The language that the engineering speak of is numbers. So we take traffic counts and we project it. To know if this is going to be a nightmare, then we need to look at the numbers. Right now, we're beginning installing traffic counts on John Ware Parkway to exactly know how much traffic we have right now. And that will lead us to more knowledge on traffic on 238 as well. But numbers as right now show that we are fine.
Well, let me throw something in there along with, because it goes right with what Michael's saying, what you just responded. And one of my questions was going to be, or is going to be at this point, when we're looking, like Michael just said, at this vacuum, we have this other project next door that we just approved. When you're looking and presenting us with all of this information, are you pulling all of the projections into one number
Yes.
and one design?
Yes, and that's the job of engineering, to bring all this development, not by part, but as a whole. And I actually have a meeting this week with 2 traffic engineers to discuss this area, one from one development and the other development as well.
Okay, great. Now, are you taking in consideration the surf place that's coming in there as
Yes.
well?
Yes.
Okay. So then the question that I would have, great answer to all of that. This road right here that leads out of there obviously is for this community that we're looking at now, this vacuum that we're looking at. But what you're also saying is it's going to be a point of access for Lot 2 and possibly even these other lots up here. Who's owning this land? Who's owning this street that's going to take care of this street and maintain it? Because it's not the city street.
It's not the cities, it's going to be private.
So who is it going to belong to? So if we're approving the other one and you're saying that people are going to use this street, then where does this developer fall in a way of responsibility of having to maintain that road? Whereas it belongs to this person or vice versa. How are we going to, if you're saying that both of these vacuums are going to come together, going to be responsible for the maintenance? And is it fair that they have to maintain the traffic flow of the other community for this vacuum and vice versa again?
Ron, do you want to add something?
I don't think that seems to be fair to this developer if it's not his road, or the other developer if it's not their road. At the end of the day, somebody's going to get a hard dollar thrown at him.
Madam Chairman, Commissioner Sharp, my name is Ron Smith. I'm one of the developers. I'm also a civil engineer and responsible for the overall master plan, which includes the property on the right, which is the Innovation Villas, which I'm representing tonight, property on the left, which you just approved, the Z Modular. We also have the property on the north, which is the commercial corner. The project will have, it's within the CCNRs, a property owners association. And that property owners association, which includes Z-Mod, Innovation Villas, and the commercial property, will be responsible for maintaining the road into the project and the roundabout. It'll also maintain the road on the north side of Z Modular, which is on the south side of the commercial. There's also a master trail system that goes all the way around the project. The Property Owners Association will maintain that as well. It is also responsible for maintaining the perimeter drainage. So that includes the landscaping as well as the pavement and all of the accoutrements that are associated with that. So it's all done through the Property Owners Association, just like a homeowners association in a community. And with the only difference being we'll be responsible for the roads. And so, and then because I think one of the things you have to recognize is the amount of investment that Z Modular is putting into their project, the amount of investment that we'll be putting into the Innovation Villas, it's incumbent upon us to maintain these exterior roads and landscaping to the highest possible quality, because we'll be doing the same thing with inside the project as well. If I could, just as a little bit of clarification, the road into the project is a left turn only coming south off of 238 and a right turn only going out. So you have a left turn in, you also have an eastbound right turn in. So off of 238, right in, left in, but only right going out. You cannot make a westbound left turn. All right, and that's an agreement we have with ADOT. They don't want to have any cross traffic. Now, in terms of characterization, this road right now is what you would call a rural road east of the subdivision to the west, to the east of us. So west of that subdivision, we now have a rural highway. What we're looking at is this is within the city limits. It is transitioning to an urban road. And with that transition, you'll have curb, gutter, and sidewalk, landscaping, street lights. So that changes the character. And with the change of character, you'll also have a reduction in the speed limit.
Yep.
Okay. We are adding an additional lane of pavement. As part of our commitment, an additional lane of pavement, curb, gutter, and sidewalk. We're also putting in a raised median so that we can control the left turn movements. We're also working with city staff to extend that level of improvements that's on our frontage. We're going to extend that level of improvements to the east and tie into Costa Brave Road. Is it Brave or Brave? Costa Brave? Costa Brave Road. So that we'll be completing the south side of 238 improvements. We're also discussing with the city that maybe we put in a third lane. And that speaks to your question about right-of-way. If we have to put in a third lane, we'll have to provide additional right-of-way for that. We also have right turn decel into the project, and we have a right turn decel into the commercial. So that's all part of the roadway improvements that we're doing. We're also working with staff to design and build the traffic signal at Loma Road in 238. Now, we don't have the warrant that allows that traffic signal to be activated just yet, but as the city develops its industrial property, its employment-based property to the south of us, we think the warrant will occur fairly soon. So our goal is to have that signal in place so that we can energize it when it's needed. So that's part of our financial commitment to the project. And that's the overall master plan. That's the Maricopa 35 master plan. The Innovation Villas that I'm representing tonight participates financially in that whole program.
I just have one question for clarification. You said that the goal is to reduce or eliminate any cross traffic. So are you saying if you are going or traveling westbound on 238, you will not be able to make a left or southbound turn onto the property?
No, we'll have a southbound off of 238 into the roundabout.
Okay,
We
excellent.
can't make a left turn out.
You can't make a left
So
turn.
if you
on
want to
west.
go,
I got
if you want to go westbound, you go to Loma Road.
Gotcha.
Now, Lot 2, which you just approved, actually has an access. Its main access is on Loma Road, as well as an access onto the cul-de-sac. So if you're going into Lot 2, you have two ways to come home. You can make your left turn at Loma, or you can make your left turn at what we call West Maricopa Parkway. Now, that area across Lot 2 acts as a secondary access into the project. So as part of the master developer, I will be building the roundabout, I will be building the Loma Road improvements, I'll be building the SR 238 improvements, I'll be building what we call Mini Main Street, which is the little road on the north side, and I'll also do the emergency access across the commercial property, across Z Modular.
Gotcha.
So that we think we'll be out ahead of them, but they may be out ahead of us. So we're going to be working together. But the infrastructure improvements that I'm talking about, that leads everybody. I start doing those before anybody else breaks ground.
Understood. You've answered my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I can just make a comment. I think that if we would have known that it was both the same builder or the same, based on, even going back to what Rachel's question was, if we would have known that they were combined like this, I think it would have kind of already answered a lot of these questions ahead of time. So, point of clarification, if we have something like this, make sure that we know this. And because having a master HOA actually wouldn't be HOA, it becomes COA, but having that, entity in there definitely it puts me at ease, because that's my world. I work in HOA world. So knowing the fact that there's going to be documents there that are going to ensure that it is maintained does definitely make me feel a lot better. Moving on, Commissioner Yocum.
I had concerns in both of the areas that we've discussed. One was Commissioner Frank's right-of-way question, and I think that was satisfactorily answered. And I think the traffic flow that we talked about here, I was under the impression that all of this was going to be the same developer. Am I correct? What we're looking at here? Different
Ron, maybe
stages?
you can clarify a little bit on that point.
So I wear two hats. One is I'm the master developer.
They're all going to fall under the same hat, so to speak.
Well, the Z Modular, we're actually selling Lot 2 to the Z Modular folks, and they will be developing that. Now, I will be working, and I have been working hand in hand with them, and we'll be coordinating their construction so that we don't get in each other's way. I have to lead, so I have to bring them water and sewer before they can start. And in fact, I'm negotiating with them now to use my general contractor doing their site work as well, so that but it won't necessarily be that way, that the same contractor does their site work, but at least they're looking at him as well. Yeah.
That satisfies my concern with the traffic flow in that area. Just two comments. I really like the concept we have of having a one-story and either a one-bedroom or two-bedroom apartment, which eliminates the high-rises or the garden type. I think it's a very interesting approach, and I think it's going to be quite popular. And I'm also impressed with the attention you paid to parking. You were required to have 334 parking spaces, and according to the material here, you're providing 522. That's impressive. All I have. Thank you.
Thank you. If you can go back to the other slide for a second, please. I've got a couple clarification points that I'd like to have based on my email that I sent in. So if I understand correctly, I understand that there's, so to speak, over an umbrella maintenance agreement on this. And did I hear you correctly that you're going to be building the those roads for access points, so that if Lot 2 is not developed before this one is, or vice versa, there's going to be accessible points, correct?
That is correct, Chairman.
Okay, so that does answer that question. My question on the point of pedestrian access. Now, are the pedestrian access going to be open all the time, or is it going to be a keyed access? Do we know this? Do we care?
That is an operational question that we leave up to the developer. Ron, do you know?
So the perimeter trail system is open to the public as well as to residents within the project. It's not blocked off. We've in fact made accommodations to the folks to the east of us to where they can access that perimeter trail, right? Inside the villas, there will be access points to the trail system, and those will have a key. So you can't come into the villas from the trail, and, but the villas will have plenty of access points that will be controlled access. And I believe Zuckelman's doing the same thing within the apartments. So the idea of the trail system is you can go all the way around and land into the commercial property. You can go across the commercial property, there'll be cafes and things like that, and then come back down the main spine road back to the trail system. Or you could go up to 238 and go east on that. So there's a big trail loop that's open to the public.
Okay, great, because I was more concerned with going eastbound from the community, not into the lots 3, 4, or 5, but I was more concerned about accessible points for the community to go to, for example, Bash's shopping center, because they'll break down the wall. And that's what I wanted to prevent.
You mean
But
eastbound on 238? Yes, there's so there, across the villa project that you're reviewing tonight, there is a trail that heads eastbound.
Right, I see the star, that's a point of
Yeah.
access. That's
Yeah.
why I was wanting to make sure that it was there, because they they did that in Acacia Crossing. They knocked
Sure.
the wall down, and we finally ended up putting we call it the hole in the wall, because they kept breaking the wall. The other question that I had that I really didn't quite understand the answer, so I'm not really sure who wants to answer this question, is according to the plat that I saw, that the right-of-way landscaping was going to be addressed per the plat, but it didn't say anything about the external in the interior roads for the landscaping. I want to ensure that there's some sort of mechanism within either the stipulations that the city has put or something to ensure that, down the line, that the landscaping is not diminished and it's still going to always be intact. That document, is there something within the documents that actually allow this to ensure that it happens?
Yeah. Sorry. Madam Chair, yes, there are standard stipulations that mandate the developer to replace any dead landscaping within a certain amount of time.
Okay. The only other thing that I wanted to say was the fact that I commend you guys on this project. It looks phenomenal. It looks more like a single-family home community, a very welcoming community, more than it does a multifamily community. And I think that the residents of Acacia Crossings are going to actually be very pleased with this, because I know that some of the citizens in there that have approached me have been very concerned that their line of sight is going to be taken back, and they're not going to be able to see, and they're just going to be looking at apartments, because I think they were envisioning the Fuse project backing up to them more than they were this, which I don't even think they're going to see the Fuse, even if this wasn't there. So I commend you on that, because it does really, really look homey. The colors and everything were great. Outside of that, I think all my questions were answered, and I'm satisfied with anything. So with that being said, I will take a motion.
So moved.
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second for approval. Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? So moved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And congratulations again, it looks awesome. All right, moving on, 6.0, report from commission and or staff.
I have a comment or a question for staff, please.
Sure, go ahead.
On the notification signs, is it possible to review what those sign limitations are, or the parameters for those? Because when as I was driving by, there was, the signs are pretty, so the lettering is really small. So for those who are driving by, to be able to see them, excuse me, I was requesting that staff possibly review or consider enlarging, pardon me, enlarging the lettering on those signs so that they're more visible from the road and drivers are passing by or, you know, at the intersection for a particular zone.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, LaFall, I can maybe after the meeting or maybe sometime tomorrow can give you exactly what our code requires. But I think that's something to keep in mind in terms of the size of the sign when you have public notices out there. The city, down the road, we're going to do another code update, and we can maybe consider researching if we need to up our size of the sign, because the minimum standard requirements per city code is a 2x3, 2 foot by 3 foot high sign for public notice for any zoning project for the city. We did up it up as the acreage does increase. It is required to up that size, so it does go. I'm not sure what it is, but I want to say it's probably like a good substantial 20 acres or more. That's the size is increased in size. So we could look at that end of this year, see if we need to up the minimal size requirements when it comes to public notices. Commissioner LaFall.
I would appreciate that review.
No problem.
And during our briefing, we did, because when I drove by one of them, I couldn't, it was so small. I didn't even notice it initially, but then, excuse me, just for those residents who I also spoken with who didn't notice them either. So just, you know, I appreciate it.
Duly noted. Just keep in mind, this is not an agendized discussion item, so we'll keep that in note for something to consider, and we'll bring back something to consider at the end of this year for a zoning change. So thank you.
Absolutely.
With that, I'm going to have Corin just do a report from staff.
Greetings, Planning and Zoning Commissioners. Thank you for this opportunity. I would like to report our staff findings from the Planning and Zoning Department for the City of Maricopa. So there was a neighborhood meeting for Seven Ranches, May 27th. The city would like to thank those who were in attendance. There is going to be a follow-up to this meeting on July 12th at 5 p.m. before the commission meeting at 6 thereafter. So following this meeting, there will be 2 more meetings. One will be held on June 28th, and the other will be held on July 12th. The June 28th meeting will cover a proposal including the rezoning and preliminary platting of a subdivision, as well as the design review permit for a development which includes multifamily and single family. Following these 2 meetings, there will be a quarterly work session which will be held on July 26th at 6 p.m. here in City Hall. Thank you.
Thank you. Here you say July 26th is a work session?
The work session quarterly meeting, yes.
That in person here?
Yes, we are.
Got that? You said July 12th, which is our normal meeting, will just be something on the agenda for Seven Ranches? Sorry, I was trying to write notes as you were doing it.
Sorry. So there will be a meeting about Seven Ranches July 12th at 5 p.m. And then following that meeting, there will be another one at 6 p.m.
Okay, that would have been the June 28th. That is a neighborhood meeting.
The neighborhood meeting for Seven Ranches was May 27th, and so the next related meeting would be that July 12th date.
So there wasn't anything on June 28th?
There was something on June 28th. That is our next meeting, and that is a proposal which will cover rezoning and preliminary platting for a subdivision, as well as a design review permit for a multifamily single-family development.
Okay, so we as a commission are meeting on the 28th.
Yes, ma'am.
Fortunately, I will not be able to attend that, Michael. You get... All right, thank you. Sorry, I was trying to write notes as you were talking.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. They're already shaking his head no, so I assume there's no executive session. So with that being said, I will take a motion to adjourn at 6:55. Motion?
Second.
Second. Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We will see you in 2 weeks.